This video is dedicated to my wonderful and loving aunt Celie Coutinho, who was a wonderful cook and a great inspiration. Welcome back to Cravings Food Adventures. I'm Karen Ahmed, and I'm probably going to piss off some of my cousins and my siblings when I say this, but I'm just going to come out and say it. I was definitely, hands down, my Aunt Celie's favorite niece. Every time I went to India, she would fuss over me. She would call me multiple times and ask me what I would like her to prepare for me. Now, on the top of that list was pot roast or roast beef. Now, roast beef in North America is prepared in a very different style, and although we call it roast beef, it's really more of a pot roast style beef that's cooked in a pressure cooker together with spices, and it's simply delicious. If you don't have a pressure cooker, go out and buy one. Now, these are really handy gadgets to have in your home. I have 5 pressure cookers myself, and I use every single one of them. It's really handy to cook things like lentils or meat, and you can prepare a dish and put it on your table in no time. Before we move on to the recipe, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week, so make sure that you're subscribed so you're the first to see them. Also, make sure to hit the little bell icon. That will ensure that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Now let's get started with the recipe. This hunk of burning love is close to 1 kilo, and that is about 2.2 pounds. Now it's got a lovely layer of fat, and I'm going to leave that on because that's going to add some incredible flavor. I want to cut this though into smaller pieces so it's easier to handle, to cook, and even to slice later. Now ideally, I don't want my slices to be wider than 2 inches. I'm just going to cut this into 4 chunks and keep this aside. I'm just going to wash my hands, and it's time to get the marination started. My Aunt Celie's recipe calls for the juice of 2 limes. Now I have to consider that the limes available in Mumbai are fairly small compared to ours in Toronto. So I'm just going to use 1.5. I'm just going to squeeze all of that goodness over the beef chunks. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of salt. Now my Aunt Celie didn't use powdered spices, but I think it really enhances the marinade. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of ground cumin. I love ground cumin in this recipe, and please note that I always roast and grind my cumin powder. It really makes such a big difference. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and I'm using Kashmiri chili powder. So now this has a beautiful color without being overly spicy. I'm also going to add fresh black peppercorns. I've crushed about 30 black peppercorns, and I'm just going to throw that in to release the flavor. Next, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of garlic paste, followed by a 1/4 cup of ginger paste. Now this is about 4 tablespoons each. Now vinegar is usually used in this preparation, but I used vinegar about 3 tablespoons in total to grind up my ginger and garlic. So if you're just using regular ground ginger and garlic, please also add 3 tablespoons of vinegar. Vinegar is an integral part of this recipe. I'm also going to add a 2-inch stick of cinnamon. And now let's massage this marinade in. Let's get rid of all these bowls. And I'm also going to get rid of these cloves. I'm going to use this in a minute. Now really get that marinade in there. Be sure to get it in on all sides. By the way, if you prefer, you can also mix the marinade first and then apply it to the beef. It's really up to you. Now I'm going to use the cloves. I have about 20 to 30 cloves here. And now this is something that I learned from my mom. I always randomly insert the cloves into these chunks of beef for extra flavor. I'm just going to wash my hands again. And now I'm going to transfer my beef to a glass bowl. I'm going to wrap it up and refrigerate it. Now ideally, you want this to marinate overnight. A pressure cooker is always used for this preparation, and mine is heating up, and I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of oil into it. I'm going to add 1 cup of sliced onions, and I'm also using red Kashmiri chilies. Now these are dried red Kashmiri chilies. I'm just going to break up about 6 and throw them right in. Now this is going to give everything a beautiful color, and there's also a particular flavor that's associated with red chilies, red Kashmiri chilies. I'm just going to saute everything till the onions are nice and golden. This is looking really good right now, so I'm just going to push these aside and add my beef chunks. Now it's kind of tight, and I probably should have taken the onions out to allow for more surface area for browning, but I'm just going to make this work. I can see a little bit of a sear, so I'm going to flip it over. You want a bit of browning, but you don't want your beef to get too brown, as the edges can turn very, very chewy later. I'm just going to rotate these chunks of beef so they are seared on all sides, and be patient because the end result is going to be amazing. I'm going to move the onions and chilies as well so they don't burn. And once I've got my beef nice and brown, I'm going to pour in all the residual marinade. Now you didn't think I was going to throw that out, did you? I'm also going to add a cup of water into the marinade container to get all of that flavor there, and I'm going to pour it into the pressure cooker. Taste for salt and add a bit more salt if you need, and cover the pressure cooker and put the stopper on. Now this pressure cooker is going to build steam, and it'll release the steam, or what we call a whistle. I'm going to let this cook till it whistles at least 3 times. Once you open the lid, you should have beautifully cooked chunks of meat. The gravy looks good too, but it's a little bit thin and I need to thicken it up. I'm going to remove these chunks of beef and I'm going to leave them aside to cool. And in the meantime, I'm just going to simmer this delicious gravy so it has a chance to thicken up. Once the meat has cooled, I'm going to slice it. And then I'm going to return it into the thickened gravy. Now we're going to separate the slices so that they get coated nicely with all of that gravy. Add a bit more fresh peppercorns. And I also like to add some fried potatoes. I'm just going to stir everything to coat. This is now ready to eat. Garnish with some fresh cilantro or coriander. Now the freshness really complements the earthy flavors of the beef, and leftovers are great to make chili fry, or it's a great filling for a sandwich. Thank you so much for joining me on Cravings Food Adventures. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe for roast beef or pot roast, whatever you want to call it. It is a delicious recipe. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. As you know, I upload new videos every week and they are amazing videos and recipes. So make sure that you're subscribed and share them with your friends. Also hit the bell icon. That'll ensure that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And follow me on all my social channels. I have so much behind the scenes footage that I upload there. Make sure that you're following me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and even Snapchat. Until I see you next time, guys, take care. Bye.